wanted to, I guess, start off very, very quickly. At age 17, my family moved from Lebanon to America. 2 years after I got to the country, I decided to go out there, get a job, and make some money. So I go out, I come back one day, I tell my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to become a marketing executive with an international marketing company. My dad looks at me, he goes, okay son, what are you going to be selling? I said, knives, kitchen knives. That's what I sold at a very young age. I used to be a door-to-door salesman. My friends would make fun of me, would say, oh, you look sharp today. At a very young age, I realized I wasn't the best salesperson out there. And one thing that happened was I was a little bit frustrated. I mean, how many of you here are in business development? I think, would that qualify with business development? And how many of you here before I felt a little bit frustrated with the results that you're currently getting? Raise your hands. Okay, good. And the reason why frustration happens is because we know we can do more and we're not. So I did do something about it. I asked one of the top reps in the office, her name was Melissa Moyer. I said, Melissa, could you give me the secret for success? She goes, Ramez, you got to do 3 things, Ramez. I was like, what? Let me take some notes. She goes, Ramez, number 1 is you got to read the books on sales. There was a deep voice saying, I don't like reading. What's number 2? She goes, Ramez, you got to listen to audio programs in your car. Here, I had to say something. I said, Melissa, I'm 19 years of age. I listen to cool music in my car. Okay, what's number 3? She goes, Ramez, you got to invest in yourself and you got to go to the summer conference coming up. Here I said, Melissa, I asked you how I can make more money, not spend more money. So then she gave me this really nice thing. She goes, Ramez, there is this very famous guy by the name of Benjamin Franklin, and he said many years ago, take whatever coins you got in your pocket and invest them in your mind, because your mind will tend to fill your pockets with gold. So here's what happens. We've been taught, and I'm not perfect in here, that if this is a pie, okay, if this is a pie, he who has the bigger part of the pie is a winner. And when you are dealing with suppliers, where you're selling to your customers or whatever, everybody wants to keep the bigger part of the pie. You know what I'm talking about. But who says the pie has to only be this size? Percentages do not go in the bank. What goes in the bank is actual dollar signs. So what we gotta do, we gotta find ways to actually expand this pie, okay, and be able to add more value to our customers. So let me share with you this one example. I lived in the US for 7 years, 10 years in Puerto Rico, so similar type of a topography. So we have here, many times you'll be sitting at a crossroad, and there are 4 gas stations at one crossroad. Here is Shell, here is Mobil, here is Exxon and, or Gulf, and here is Sunoco, for example, some oil company. Now, they all are struggling, they're all fighting for the same type of passerbys. And the customers driving through are looking for who has the cheapest what? Cheapest price. So now all of a sudden one of these gas stations decides to win the price war, drops down his price by 2 cents. Now what do you think everybody else has to do? So -2, -2, -2. So all of a sudden the strategy stops working. And then he goes, let me drop it down 4 cents. So put -4. So now what everybody else has to do? -4, -4, -4, but actually this guy cannot take it, and he decides to close shop because he cannot survive on the profit he's making at that level. But before he actually busts and quits and sells shop, he actually speaks with a consultant from the Academy for Sales Excellence. And we give him some of the abundance mentality. We share with him how can he actually justify a premium. So we helped him research his area, and some of the demographics in his area are that there's lots of moms, lots of housewives, and in the US it's a lot of self-service. You gotta go down and you gotta pump the gas yourself. But when moms are there with the kids, and they like to go to full-service gas stations. So this guy decides, I don't want to fight on prices. Look, I want to add value to my customers. I'm gonna give them a full-service gas station. I'm going to be able to cater for the needs of the mom. I'm also going to put in a 24-point checkpoint, security checkpoint, to look at fluids, look at brakes, look at, so actually give them that additional security that justifies them coming to my station as opposed to going elsewhere. Now all of a sudden when he applies that, The first couple of cars come in, see the service, see how everything was done smoothly. Now they start talking about that service to their friends, and guess what starts happening a couple of days after? Spreading. This guy now is freaking surprised, excuse my language here, these guys are very surprised at what? At the fact that how come this guy has a higher price, but his gas station is full? We don't get it. We don't get it. I'll give you a practical example in here. One of my customers, a hotel chain, this is a true story in Lebanon. After taking some of my programs, they had an inquiry from a big car manufacturer. They wanted to do an event in that hotel. Now, that company was actually looking at multiple outlets. And one of the questions we try to do in our programs, we try to understand what we call personal or business need. We looked at the business need, and we knew that these guys were launching a product into the market of Lebanon. And they were inviting all their distributor network, and they were going to be in that. And we know it's going to be summertime, it's going to be hot season, you know, hot season. And they were there not just to launch this guy, but they wanted to see how can they actually leverage what was going on. So the business development manager thought a bit about that. He knew that he was competing against Phoenicia, against there's another one, Four Seasons, so some really top-notch hotels. And he just asked a magical question. He said, Mr. Customer, how important for you is it that your launch of this product is important? You know, it goes well. He goes, very important. He goes, would it help if we can actually display 2 or 3 of your cars in our property 2 weeks prior to your event and 2 weeks after your event is finished? Now, in that period of time, our hotel has more than 300 some rooms. It's going to be with all VIP guests that actually matches your type of target audience. When this idea was mentioned, the guys forgot about everything else and started asking, well, where can you put the cars? Can we put one on top? Can we put one at the bar? Can we bring one inside the lobby? I mean, they were now looking at how can we actually how can you help us make more money? Price was never mentioned, the deal was signed, and that was the end of it. This is just one example of how actually this one business development executive found a way that he understood the value for this one customer, what they wanted to achieve, and he was able to actually create value out of nothing. How much does it cost them to display a car on their property? How much that? 0. But what value does that have for the buying customer if they were to display that, to get visibility to 300 guests per day for 1 month? I mean, that would cost them an arm and a leg. So you can see the value of how that was created. Imagine today your team possibly maybe playing with the idea of going and selling very big business without really following any structure. And this is the structure that most people are, my experiences, are not aware of. And if they are, they're at a very, very low level. And it's not systematic. It's by luck that they get there. So what we want to try to do, what we do in the academy, is we have to take the luck or the guesswork out of repeatable, successful sales results that we teach. This is only one part. I cannot do the whole course, it's a 2-day program, but that's just one small part. Do you see the value of these ideas?